All right, welcome back, everybody, and come on down. You guys are the hearty, wonderful audience that we have. Let's give a hand for yourselves for coming into this important session. Woo! All right, we are going to talk about how digital humans can break language barriers. And this is coming up a lot and a great topic under AI about how we can better empower language challenges when we're creating all sorts of experiences, whether it's enterprise, entertainment, or whatever it is. So I want to introduce the fabulous folks from Ericsson, Tarren Corbett-Drummond and Yewon Gim. Did I say it right? I hope I said it right. I practiced. All right, woohoo, let's have a big hand for these folks.
Thanks, guys, thanks. All right, so what do we have on the agenda for you today? So we're going to do a quick intro so you know who you're talking to. We have a video we can play giving you an overview of what we're doing at Ericsson Digital Humans. The fun part, we have demos for you of our two APIs that we are releasing. One is AI video dubbing, the other is AI voice conversion. So excited to show you some preliminary demos of that. Yewon will dive much deeper on how it works, what algorithms, what considerations we have going into that, and then I'll cover some of the use cases that we're seeing today. Oh, yep, that's us. So let's see if this plays when I hit it twice, hopefully.
Ericsson is reimagining real-time connection med kraften av AI i nätverket, permettendo di entrare in contatto con il pubblico come mai prima. Through real-time translation of live video. Our vision? To break down barriers. Universalizar el lenguaje. Vad du än vill säga, compartir o trasmettere. This is the first of many AI innovations from Ericsson som utvecklar dagens kommunikation med hjälp av morgondagens teknologi. Con soporte para diferentes plataformas y dispositivos, AI Enhanced Presence è disponibile per una selezione di soci e clienti già durante versione beta. Just imagine the possibilities of a future without limits.
All right, so you guys got our concept video sizzle reel. So what we're really trying to do, even at Ericsson, is imagine possible. And how do we connect people? So our team has been at this for about 3 years, and we are really creating two APIs. We're creating, as I mentioned, AI video dubbing, so that when you are on a call and you have interpretation or translation, we could actually make it so it looks like you're speaking that language. We also have AI voice conversion. So today when you're doing interpretation, whether it's a synthetic voice from machine translation or a live interpreter, it doesn't sound like the presenter. We can now take 1 second of sample voice and then convert it so it actually sounds like the person that's presenting. I will also note that today we do not do the interpretation and translation. We partner with language service providers who that is their bread and butter and their core business. They are the experts at that. And we use our AI video dubbing and voice conversion to enhance the products so that really we can break down language barriers. And that's really what we're trying to do, give people more access to information, inclusivity. So we're pretty excited about how the tech is evolving.
So this is our preliminary audio demo. So the one that Tarren has already mentioned about regarding how to change the voice of the translator to the person who's being translated so that we can close that gap of reality. So these can be applied when it, for example, over the phone line, kind of voice only application, but along with the video application. So this is a demo actually using the a webinar that was hosted by one of our language service provider partner, Interpretify. And this is the original video that was being dubbed. This is the original video. This is in English that the original speaker was speaking, just to give you as what the reference was.
Renting and setting up booths and hardware, and not to mention the high cost and the environmental impact associated with it. Then came along the Interpretify way. Everything changed when remote simultaneous interpretation came into the picture.
So then in this webinar, this particular segment was translated into French, and you can see the original, the way it has been done without using our voice transfer system.
Une grande flexibilité en termes de livraison. Et bien sûr, les intégrations que nous avons aujourd'hui pour louer et installer des stands et du matériel, sans parler des
And then this is after the we have run our voice conversion API on this to match the original speakers, the English speaker's voice, but still speaking in French in the translated content.
Une grande flexibilité en termes de livraison. Et bien sûr, les intégrations que nous avons aujourd'hui pour louer et installer des stands et du matériel, sans parler des coûts élevés, de l'environnement et de l'impact mental qui y est associé. Puis est arrivée l'interprétation, mais tout a
So that one, maybe it's nuanced for you to hear, but we can take that 1 second of your voice and now we can make that translation, whether that's a live interpreter or machine translation synthetic voice, actually sound like the speaker. And now I have the fun part of showing Yewon. We shot some behind the scenes footage. So you'll see her original video. Then after that, we will show you her video with our AI video dubbing. So you'll hear it translated, but you should see her mouth move in sync with the dubbing, which is a pretty big feat. And then the third video will be the dubbing plus the voice conversion. So you can really see kind of what this looks like when it's all put together. So this is her original video.
My name is Yewon Gim, and I lead a team toward developing AI video dubbing algorithm.
All right, now this is with it being translated.
제 이름은 김예원이고 AI 더빙 알고리즘 팀과 일하고 있습니다.
So I hope you guys could pick up on the mouth moving very much in sync with the audio. But this actually happens today where it could be a different gender, right? It's whatever interpreter is available. So now we can take that, like I said, 1 second of her video, put that all together, and then you get something that sounds a lot more like Yewon.
제 이름은 김예원이고 AI 더빙 알고리즘 팀과 일하고 있습니다.
Yeah, so there you have all of it together, the trifecta.
Actually, one of the interesting thing, I don't know, when we were actually preparing for these slides, which was a week ago, I had a really bad cold. So I had this cold nasally voice. So when I gave the sample, it was very cold nasally voice. And I think even in this video, I sound a little bit sick. So I don't know if that's a feature, but not necessarily maybe not you always want. So how are we approaching this? How are we trying to make sure this whole algorithm happens and then put it together? And I think a lot of times the focus really goes into the algorithm, especially with the kind of highlight that generative AI is currently getting. But I think for our approach, it is really all these three pillars are equally important in especially for this particularly humans are involved in, and when we're trying to generate humans. So for example, data collection, one of the things that there's a lot of human pictures out there. You probably know there's Twitter, I mean, people not in Twitter, but like people have been posting on Instagram, there's YouTube, but all these public data sets that's been out there, been collected are geared toward celebrity. So they're very, very biased in certain appearances, or certain gender or certain age groups. But we want these application that really covers the full demographic. When we're trying to bring the whole world together, we don't want to be biased. So one of the things that we need to put our effort on our team is making sure we're covering the right demographics and right amount of languages such that we can reach the most amount of people possible, and also diversifying the kind of appearance that different people can have. And then we have algorithms. We really are trying to break the barrier of what we can possibly achieve in terms of generative AI can, because people are so sensitive to human faces. That's the first thing literally our brain picks up and learns how to do is read your emotions. What does a human face look like? So trying to really achieve that level of scrutiny that a human can discern is quite a feat. So we always are trying to leverage what's the most out there for achieving this most human, real, photorealistic and immersive experience. But I think and then at the end of it, something that I think gets often overlooked is evaluation. Like I mentioned, human perception is quite interesting, especially when it comes to human voices and human faces. I mean, as you saw my recording, and when I got the footage, I was like, do I really look like that? Do I really speak like that? And do I even really sound like that? So these are like the things that even in real recording you question, and then on top of that you add AI to it, and it's like, do I really sound like that? I don't think so. AI is making me look real bad there. Actually, one time I ran an algorithm to someone for someone else, and she's like, I look older in this. And it's just because like we ended up running it on a very serious speech, so she had to look more serious face than she's usually making. But these are the kind of different human perceptions. So how do we then make a metric? What is a good dubbing and what is a bad dubbing becomes a very hard question. So these are the, how do we evaluate this? How do we make sure the the immersive experience is good is another part that we are really putting a lot of effort into. And along with this, obviously there's a question of ethics. So what are some of the things that we can do on the algorithm side to make sure this cannot be used for malicious purposes, and make sure that as much of effort on our side is being done on the security and the algorithm side, such that we are not violating someone's privacy or making it easy for someone to make you say something that you never said.
Right. All right. So you got the R&D, how it works. So use cases. So how do we see this kind of coming to market today and in the future? So right now, with some of our early adopters, we're doing one-to-many broadcasts. So today, when you would do a webinar, let's say a town hall, even a keynote at an event, and you might have some live interpreters doing the audio, you can now apply voice conversion and AI video dubbing and connect with your audiences and the folks listening to it in a way you never have been able to before. Similarly, video meetings, so maybe it's not one-to-many, but there's multiple people on the call and you're having a conversation. Obviously, a lot of applications in enterprise for business, different international communications. Even like Ericsson, we're a large global company. People speak, I think we're in over 180 countries. So when you have meetings and other people are more comfortable, yes, a lot of people do English first, but wouldn't it be great to have people really understand what you're saying in the language that you prefer to hear it in? And that image is kind of small, but that's another one of our partners, Kudo, that these partners have platforms and do this today. But like I said, that original experience is the video doesn't match the voice you hear, and the voice could be a different gender, right? So being able to offer these features so you can connect better than ever. We can also do things post-production. So not live, but you have internal training videos, how-to videos, content that you're creating, online education, right? Where you're doing a course in Degreed. You can now localize that content in an easy, fast way. I think we mentioned, but these are APIs, right? So you can grab them, apply them, happens pretty quickly. It's pretty exciting. And then in the future, media, right? We've all maybe watched these Netflix dubbing where you see the lips moving, you hear something different, you're reading the closed caption, and the closed caption doesn't even match the dubbing sometimes. So really being able to get rid of all of that. And so it feels like these things were produced in the language that you want to hear. So we have talked to some of these folks. You know, there's a lot of like contract, IP, identity things that will need to be worked out, but we do see that as an application in the future. So that is what we had prepared, but we do, I think, have a few minutes for Q&A. Would love if you guys had any questions for us. I think is that microphone on, or I can?
First of all, this is amazing. I saw the future use cases included streaming and TV and movies. What about 360 video? Can you do that?
I'll let you answer that.
So we do look into, well, we haven't actually looked into the full body, but we've looked into 3D avatars itself. That's something in our roadmap. Believe it or not, just 3D is easier than doing 2D technically. Just the data, and I think the talk before us really hit on that heavily, that getting the 3D data is not as trivial as getting 2D data. That's the only barrier, but it is something that we are definitely looking into and a little bit down the road, roadmap for our future. Because in a little tangent and probably a little bit more technical detail than most people might want, but to get the really faithful 2D, you are moving your face while you're talking, and there's light coming in, there's reflections. It's actually much easier if we can actually create you in 3D and then project you back into 2D depending on what the camera angle that we think it is, than just trying to dumbly just present everything in the 2D. So 3D actually ends up being in our pipeline a little bit.
And where does 360 monoscopic fall? Like, is that 3D or is that really 2D in a 360? Like, how do you?
There's like different, I think, ways that you look into it. So there's different ways you can represent 3D. So how do you represent an object in a 3D space? That's really the question. Like, so there's a ways to just literally represent the volume by having many dense points that are in like of the surface of the object. You can create a mesh and then put a texture on top of it. And then there are different ways of then rendering this back. And some of the ways that now a lot of rendering techniques that look into is just if you have a lot of different angle of the like those 3D mono images, you can easily project back on different angle, different view of 3D mono images that you want. So it is related, but like if you're just limiting yourself to 3D, but just a mono of whatever the camera angle that you're talking about, there's like different challenges and different things. Some things that technically get easier. So it's a little bit of a
little bit of this. This is the short version of it. It's possible.
It is definitely possible. Okay. It is just a matter of
okay. Well,
trade-off.
I'll be talking to you later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I should say that wasn't necessarily even the timeline. These are the use cases for the 2 APIs we have out now. Okay. But we have been collecting, I think on a previous slide, that was our actual volumetric capture studio in Santa Monica. So we hire actors. We have 2 come in Monday through Friday. We collect 100 terabytes of data every day. Similar if you were here for the talk before us, like getting that authentic real world content. We have been doing that in those captures. So 3D and immersive is definitely on the roadmap, just not in the next 6 months. But we have been collecting that data to then create those types of experiences.
Okay, great. Cool. Thank you so much.
Hi, how can we get involved? What's the process to use the APIs?
Oh, well, you come talk to me after. So right now, we have early adopter agreements with language service providers. So those, like I said, those are people that already have those network of interpreters or are trying their hand at machine translation. But we're looking for more partners, so definitely after, let's connect. And I think in the back.
Very impressive, so good job. I have a question kind of on the ethical design. It's one of the things that we're really trying to figure out. And I'm just curious, when you changed the human, involved with different lip sync and then different voice, if you feel like there's an obligation to let the viewer know that has been changed, or where are you guys in that spectrum of that conversation?
So that's something that we are continuously trying to address. That's what will be the best way to do it. So one of the obvious ways is to have a caption that says, this is AI assisted generated, but when we are actually generating, because we're not necessarily fully generating, for example, if I'm not speaking, I'm not necessarily generating someone just not speaking. So that's one of the ways. And another ways that there are other techniques such that even if it doesn't have that, so someone can quickly crop you out the video and then such that wherever we put the caption is just not there, and then use it maliciously. And we're trying to then put some kind of coding into what we've already generated that gets embedded in it such that it is detectable. Now, if they know what the coding it is, that we're like, there is no foolproof way of doing it as a currently, but we're always keeping an eye on if there's any safer way. But we are trying to put a little bit of measures here and there that makes it harder to just naively take it and say, hey, this was what this person was speaking, and we can be like, no, we looked at this particular way, and we found our signature, this is from our algorithm.
So like some kind of audio stuff
Yeah, things like that human eyes can't see, but it's in the pictures, for example. I don't want to necessarily give it away so that people know, but yeah.
Any more questions? Oh, we do. Yeah. I'm coming.
concerning AI, I just happened to be listening to a committee that wants, in fact, the industry of AI, the top people that like open chat AI, is that the name of it? The big companies that went before the government, and I'm very sure that all of you are way open AI. Thank you, that was it. Thank you very much. So my question is, are you guys going to be licensed? Because they're recommending that our government, meaning our society, maybe just regulate in only for a good sense, because people will use it in a bad way, just like nuclear power. It can be used good, but it can be used bad too. So I'm hearing that that AI can be used good in medicine and what you guys are doing. But I already heard something in Texas maybe a month ago that somebody faked somebody's voice saying, "I need money from you, Dad. I'm stuck."
Yeah.
You heard?
No, there's definitely a dark side, let's say, potentially. But I think to answer your question is, we will definitely follow whatever regulations, and U.S. is, I would say, isn't even leading the charge there, right? You have GDPR, you have the EU, a lot of, it needs to be, I mean, for us it'd be easier if it was a global recommendation. That won't happen. But we are lucky that we do sit within Ericsson, which is a global company, operates within all of these places. So we already do a lot for GDPR compliance and other things. So yes, we will definitely follow the regulations, and then to the extent we can, try to be involved, right? Like we're part of the Metaverse Standards Forum, so we'll try to stay involved and on top of it. In addition to doing a lot on the R&D and product side to make it ethical, making sure that we're following, regulatory requirements.
Very powerful conversation to end. All about what's happening with AI, and certainly there is a lot going on in Washington right now about all this. So let's have a hand for our panelists from Ericsson, showing us the way, a great application of AI.